This show contains spoilers and adult language. Listener discretion is advised.
Movies with Ron, movies with Ron.
Hell yeah, motherfucker.
Movies with Ron.
All right, the Las Vegas Massacre.
Yeesh.
Pretty much can't do anything without mentioning it.
Yeah,
It's only a matter of time before they make a movie of that shit.
I suppose, yeah.
With all due respect to the heroes and the families of the victims, this year we got 2 movies about that fucking Boston Marathon bombing.
Do we?
Yeah, man. There was one with Mark Wahlberg, where he was the cop. And then coming out is the serious one with Jake Gyllenhaal. He plays the guy who got his legs blown off.
Damn.
That's usually how it works. It happened with 9/11. You had the Flight 93 where it's on the airplane.
Yeah.
You know, that was the low-budget one. And then Oliver Stone made World Trade Center with Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
I don't know, that hero stuff. Hollywood loves it.
Yeah.
So we'll get 2 movies out of this Vegas shooting. You know, the first one will happen.
Okay.
Then we'll get the big budget second one, right?
Uh-huh.
Why not Jake Gyllenhaal, man? He'll play one of the country singers performing at the show.
Okay.
But then they'll add something where he's like, helping people escape. He's a hero. Countrified hero, you know? Country music.
Did that happen?
I don't know. I think everyone just ran.
Yeah.
But it's a movie, you know? You gotta alter those kind of things.
Yeah.
Something that did really happen, which was definitely going to be in the movie, is the security guard in the hotel, Jesus Campos. This happened later. It came out.
Yeah.
Everyone was worried about the shooter and the people at the concert. Turned out a security guard found out where he was, the shooter,
Really?
in the hotel. And all he had was a nightstick. And he was in the corridor. And when the shooting stopped at the concert, it is because the shooter had jerry-rigged cameras in the hallway, and he was monitoring the hallway outside of his room, and he saw the security guard. And then he turned around and started shooting that way. Probably about 200 more rounds.
Jesus.
But that's what gave him up, you know? So the SWAT team knew exactly where he was because of Jesus.
Damn.
He kind of like saved a lot more people, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, he distracted him. And he even got shot himself and like waited and helped people get out of their rooms and stuff.
Shit.
I'm thinking Jesus, Latino, Hispanic. I'm thinking Michael Pena. Yeah,
Okay.
remember him from Ant-Man?
Yeah.
Yeah, he needs more attention. And the title makes everything.
Oh, God.
Country Roads Take Me Home.
Oh, fuck.
Welcome to episode 70 of Movies with Ron.
Hey-o.
The podcast where my younger brother recaps a movie he saw from beginning to end for me and for you. Because we like his versions better. It's okay if you've seen the movie. It's okay if you haven't seen it. The experience is unique, so let's get it on. I'm Chris, your MC for the time being. All right, Rick. Episode 2, Movies with Rick. You ready?
I am ready.
Ron went to Halloween Horror Nights.
Woo.
Yeah, hopefully he won't get shot. But hey, Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah, baby.
Man, a lot of people been waiting for this one.
Yeah. I will just go ahead and say I have not seen the first movie, so I am not one of those people.
You've never seen it?
No.
Ah, shit.
I'm new to the whole replicant thing with this Movies with Rick.
Now, I was talking to Ron, and he said, if you haven't seen the original Blade Runner, all you have to see is the CinemaSins video on YouTube for Blade Runner.
Yeah?
Yeah, pretty much tells you everything. Because it's like, it's a boring fucking movie. The original, based on a Philip K. Dick novel. Do androids dream of electric sheep? Except in the movie, it was a unicorn.
Okay.
Because Ridley Scott still had those unicorns left over from Legend.
Oh, hell yeah. Gotta get your money out of those.
No matter what, Ridley Scott's like, I can make a good unicorn. But it's accused of, they call it future porn. Because Blade Runner, like, influenced everything after that. Like, it did so good at making the future. It takes place in 2019. So it's still in the future.
Yeah.
But you got, like, Los Angeles, and there's, like, skyscrapers, but then, like, gas plumes of fire coming out of the skyscrapers.
Oh, shit.
So this is a serious city. You got, like, billboards floating around. There's pyramids.
Yeah,
shit.
That's what I remember. There's all the billboards and the electronic shit.
Yeah, flying cars and stuff. Then you got Harrison Ford, Rick Deckard. He's a Blade Runner, and their job is to find the replicants. Replicants are robots that look like humans.
Sure.
They have limited lifespans. In the first one, it's like 4 years. And 5 replicants, they use them as workers. Companies do. And they're made by the Tyrell Corporation.
Yeah.
5 of them escape their planet that they're working on.
Yeah.
And then they come back to Earth. That's when you need a Blade Runner, right? But the whole thing is told like a like film noir, like a old-timey detective, hard-boiled, like, oh, she walked into my life and it was a shame. Trench coats and stuff. And he's like a drunk. Harrison Ford like drinks in every scene. And he like falls in love with one of the fancy replicants.
Rachel.
Like, yeah, the she's advanced. But when you watch it now, it's like rape. He like forces himself on the robot woman. Yeah, everyone criticizes the original Blade Runner.
Yeah, that's not good, Chris.
But the story, there's not much of it. It's all like kind of boring. It's all about the future and how it looks. It's like so fucking cool.
Right.
All right, you got Roy Batty, the main baddie, replicant, played by Rutger Hauer.
Yeah.
Their mission is because they want more life. I want more life, fucker. That's his big line to Mr. Tyrell. And Harrison Ford's trying to stop him. It all culminates in a big battle between Harrison and Rutger.
Yeah.
And Harrison Ford, Rick Deckard, gets the shit beat out of him. Like, he can't win.
Yeah.
And it goes on for a while. And the only reason Rick Deckard survives is because right before Rutger Hauer is going to kill him, like on the rooftop, Rutger Hauer senses that his time is expiring. He only has moments left. So he just stops. And he, like, has his big monologue about life and tears in the rain. And he expires naturally.
Shit.
Like, he ran out of time.
Ran out of juice.
And Rick Deckard, at the end of that movie, is like, the luckiest motherfucker on the planet. All right. Blade Runner 2049, directed by Denis Villeneuve.
Denis Villeneuve?
Villeneuve.
Villeneuve.
Awesome director. All right. He commissioned 3 short films that will bridge the gap from 2019 to 2049.
Okay.
All right. Did you watch them?
No.
All right. Well, I did. Maybe it'll answer some of your questions before you get into this recap.
Maybe it will.
All right. The first one is 2022. And it's an anime made by the guy who did Cowboy Bebop. So basically, on another planet, 2 armies are fighting. You know, it's a war. Guess we're supposed to assume it's 2 companies. And they're having their soldiers fight each other.
All right.
And you realize the one you're following is a replicant. And you can see it on their eyeballs. They pull down their eyelid and it's on their eyeballs.
Yeah.
And he kills a guy who he thinks is human, right? He takes off the mask and checks his eyeball and it's another replicant. So these like companies or whatever are making replicants fight other replicants. So they come up with a plan. So some of them escape and go back to Earth and they kill all the power. They cause a blackout.
Yeah.
A major blackout. I don't know if it's worldwide, but it's enough to where after that, replicants get banned completely.
Yeah.
So then we move on to 2036. This one's live action. And this is where we first see Jared Leto. He plays Neander Wallace of the Wallace Corporation. Okay? The Tyrell Corporation from original Blade Runner is gone.
Yep.
After the blackout.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Nobody's allowed to make replicants, but he has made one. And he meets with the head of the government, or it's the chief of police. Anyways, it's Benedict Wong. You know who he is? He was in Doctor Strange and The Martian.
Gotcha.
Is he in it?
No.
No. So he's just in this short film. Good actor. He's like, you can't fucking make replicants, man. And Wallace, Jared Leto, doing good acting, I think. He's blind.
Yeah.
He's like, this guy beside me, he's a replicant. He's my protector. And I can make replicants that will do anything we tell them. And they will never rebel. And keep in mind, this is 2036. So he tells his replicant, make a weapon. And the replicant, like, smashes a vase. He grabs a shard of glass. And then he turns to the replicant and he's like, only one of us can live, me or you. Choose. And the replicant, like, slits his own throat. Because he's not going to harm a human. Jeez. Which was the whole problem with replicants before this.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, dun, dun, dun.
What do you think of that?
All right. The final short film is 2048. A year before this new film.
All right.
And we see Drax, Dave Bautista.
Dave Bautista.
And he's a replicant. And I think he's one of the originals that caused the blackout.
Yes.
So he's like living in the city, trying to make things work, trying to make some money.
Trying to make ends meet.
Yeah. And he's helping out this little girl. He gives her books. He's like, oh, this is a good book right here. And she's like, oh, does it have a happy ending? So he goes off, and then he notices that the little girl and her mother, they're getting, like, robbed and, like, felt up by these three or four hoodlums.
Yeah.
Drax just goes ape shit on them, beats the snot out of them, breaks their necks, and but then, like, the little girl and her mother are, like, scared of him. And he's like, I'm a monster. And he runs away. And there you go.
Gotta tell you, Chris, this was a pretty decent movie.
Yeah?
Yeah. Pretty good.
Everyone, like, came in their pants when they saw it.
Yeah?
Everyone online.
You call the first one future porn? This movie is guilty of excessive bass notes. Rumbling the movie theater seats.
You mean like bongs?
Oh, it is bong-tastic.
Damn.
There's bongs coming out your ass. And it's not so bad. I actually like the bongs. But they're more robotic / trumpety. So it's like...
They love doing that shit.
Oh,
now.
yeah, man. And you know what?
It works.
I approve.
All right, folks. Let's cue up that bong button, because it's Blade Runner 2049 on Movies with Rick.
It's showtime.
Fuck yeah.
We open up on a flyover of a big towering structure surrounded by what looks like satellite mirrors, you know. In between are cuts of Ryan Gosling sitting in his car. And he's asleep. And there's a little script on the bottom of the screen that says, California, 2049, Los Angeles. There's cuts of a guy in a suit, and he's farming, lifting up all this grubby, mucky shit from some grubby, mucky water. And it turns out he's actually grub farming.
He's in a suit, like a seersucker suit?
It looks like just a big rubber suit, like almost like a contaminant suit.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't see his face, and he's just, with his grubs. And something ticks him off about the car door slamming or something. And that's Ryan Gosling, who is K, getting out of his car and getting ready to go scope the place out. Presses a button that's on the roof, and a piece of his roof kind of flies up and starts hovering around the whole area. So he's got a drone in his car.
Oh.
Yeah. Kind of cool.
Future.
Kay is walking from his car up to a house, and he just lets himself into the front door. And we cut to the guy in the suit, and he's getting washed off, like a decontamination shower kind of thing. Takes his helmet off, and it is Dave Bautista. So right off the bat, you get Drax. Comes into his house. The pot is boiling, which is on a stove, which is next to the sink, and starts washing his hands. And that's when you see Kay sitting off in the distance. He says, I hope you don't mind I took the liberty of just checking the place out and having a seat. Bautista reaches up onto the windowsill that's right in front of the sink, grabs the tiniest pair of glasses I've ever seen. You know, they wrap around his head. His big old fucking muscly head. And he starts talking about food and, you know, he's cooking and, you know, preparing garlic. Have you ever had garlic? And Kay is like, has no idea what garlic is. You know, he's a future man.
Yeah.
Kay wants to know what he does. And Bautista lets him know that he's just a simple farmer. Well, what do you farm? And he goes up to a dish on the shelf, Bautista, grabs a handful of something and plops down on the table right next to Kay. A bunch of grubs wriggling around. And he goes, protein. It's at this point that Kay lets him know that he's from the Los Angeles Police Department. You can see on Bautista's face he gets a little edgy. Kay notices the bag that's on Bautista's hip, and it's like a military medical bag that he was ex-army, like a medic on the warfield.
Mm-hmm.
Bautista's asking him, you know, you're here to take me in? He's like, I wish I was taking you in. That would be much easier. And Kay is fumbling through his pockets and grabs a device, like a, I don't know, it looks like a credit card, but then it flips open and has like a lens to it or something. He's like, I'm going to need you to look into the lens here. All the while he's doing this, Bautista is grabbing his bag from behind his back and pulling out a scalpel. And when Kay stands up, Bautista goes to stab him in the face. Kay catches his arm, and a fight breaks out. And man, I gotta tell you, right off the bat, there are some punches thrown, but that is quickly squandered as Bautista grabs Ryan Gosling and starts repeatedly slamming him against the wall. So much slamming, I've never seen a man slammed against a wall this many times. Or this hard.
Yeah.
He's breaking him into the wall. It actually shows the other side of the wall starting to, like, bust outward. It's insane. And eventually, yeah, he throws him through the fucking wall. So Bautista is a big, strong man.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he can do this shit. But we're coming to the part where Kay gets the upper hand and starts, like, punching him, gets him down on the ground as Bautista follows him through the wall. Grabs Bautista, puts him on the ground, and starts punching him in the throat. Kind of with superhuman strength. You can hear it, and it was meant to sound like a car crash every time it hit. And Bautista's like... and grabbing the little camera thing and trying to get, like, a scan or a picture of the little barcode that's underneath his eye.
Yeah.
So he's a replicant. And we gather that Kay is a replicant, too. Because... who the hell survives getting thrown through a wall like that?
Really?
Yeah, come on. He's not just a rough and tough cop.
Okay.
So he gets his scan, stands up. Bautista gets up and has some dialogue about, you new replicants, you know, you think you're far superior over all the other ones, but you've never seen a miracle. And, Kay just pulls his gun out and pops 2 caps in him and drops him. And there goes Bautista, exiting the film. We cut to Kay walking out of the house, and he's got a little baggie in his hand, and it's an eyeball. So he cut his eye out, brought it with him. Gets into his car and makes a phone call to Robin Wright, who is his police captain, And she's like, Jesus, are you all right? He's like, yeah, I'm fine. I'll just, I'll glue it later. Glue it all back together. I'm not paying for that. All right. He's like, yeah, it's fine. She's like, how'd it go? Well, it was a little rough, but it's done. She's like, yeah, show me. And he puts the eyeball down on his console, and it's got like a scanner on it. So it scans, and they get Bautista's profile. And they exchange some dialogue about, him being a runaway replicant, all that. What the hell was he doing out there? Well, it looks like he was just a simple farmer. Well, doesn't matter when you go AWOL like that. You got to be put down. So they end the conversation, and he gets back out of his car and looks over to his drone that just pulled up right above him. He's like, just photograph everything. And the thing whizzes off. But something catches his eye. That's by a dead tree out there in the middle of nowhere. And there's a flower on the ground. And you get that existential, artistic movie director shit where he picks it up and he smells it. He's a robot and he's never seen this kind of shit before. He goes back to the car. Robin Wright is back again, and she's like, look, come back before the storm, all right? And you got to check your baseline. So we cut, and lots of flying car over futuristic, barren landscape. But we find out that it's all just grid work, and I guess the buildings are so close together that it all just looks like the floor of...
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy, because you can see little gaps of the main streets, and the only lights that are coming from them are like the big billboards from the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty crazy. And during all these flying sequences, you get... And his trip comes to an end when he arrives at the LAPD big monolith fucking building. He's walking through the police department, and it's kind of strange because there's lots of people, lots of cops, whatnot, but every cop that passes by, he's like putting his head down and looking away from them, and the cops are looking at him being like, fucking replicant motherfucker.
Really?
Yeah, they're pissed off that he's there.
Damn.
Yeah. He walks into a room, and we immediately get all of this super fast, rapid-fire dialogue. It's Ryan Gosling, Kay, sitting on a chair, and this guy is going, when you're walking down a street, blah, 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 and you have this in your hand, cells, and Ryan Gosling just goes, cells. Blah, 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 when you're driving your car, da-da-da-da, cells. You know?
This is the Blade Runner test.
Yeah.
From the first movie.
See,
Harrison Ford would sit down in front of a replicant and ask him all these questions. It's similar to the shit from R.I.P.D.
Yeah.
When they're talking about the chicken tikka, they're asking him like test questions.
Yeah.
To make sure he's still, legit.
I guess this is what is quote unquote establishing your baseline.
Yeah.
Make sure he's still good to go.
Yeah.
And he starts to go home, walking through the city streets. It looks like shit.
Mm-hmm.
The future don't look promising. And he's going up through his apartment building, walking up the stairs. There's lots of people out there. Some ladies screaming at him in Chinese or Cantonese. And it's subtitled. It's like, oh, look at you, pretty tin soldier. Why don't you go fuck off and blah, 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 blah. He says nothing. He's unaffected. Goes up to his door, and on his door is graffitied, fuck off, Skinner. He's in his apartment, taking his coat off, taking his shirt off. He's a little bloodied up from his fight with Bautista. And he's having a conversation and some dialogue with a woman who's in another room. And she's talking about this dish that she's been preparing all day and learning about cooking and whatnot. She's like, are you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm okay. It was a long meeting, and I think I ruined my shirt. He's like, well, give it to me, and I'll fix it. He's like, kind of feeling like a drink. You want one? I'll take one. So he pours 2 drinks, standing by his window, and he goes to the kitchen, plops 2 squares out of a bag into a bowl, sticks it in a machine, pulls it back out, and it's full of these weird, clear noodles, goes to the table, and he grabs his drink, gulps it real quick, and grabs her drink and gulps it real quick. Sits down at the table in front of his weird, disgusting-looking noodles. And on the ceiling above him is this weird machine. It's got like an arm, and it automates and moves over to the kitchen doorway, and out of it comes a hologram of a woman. So this entire time he's talking to his computer at home.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got like a computerized girlfriend that keeps him company. She comes out in this, I don't know, like 60s waitress dress and sets down an awesome looking plate of steak and green beans and like mashed potatoes, and it sets it down right on top of the bowl of noodles. So they're both kind of like interlinked, but one is a hologram and one is real.
Yeah.
And she's like, put your feet up. We come to find out that his digital girlfriend is named Joy, Joi. Depending on the situation, she changes her appearance. Like she goes from that 60s waitress look to just a skimpy dress to something completely different, depending on how the conversation is going. It's kind of crazy. So he's talking about his day at the office. He's like, how was your day? She's like, I just feel a little cooped up, you know. That's why I had to start concentrating and working on, something new, working on this dish. So, bon appetit. He sits there and he doesn't even touch his noodles. He just pulls out a smoke, lights it, and starts smoking. They have a little bit more dialogue, but then he stands up and he's like, I got you something. She's like, really? What's the occasion? And he pulls out this box and he opens it, and it's got this funny looking, kind of elongated pen looking device. And she loses her shit like he just went to Jared's. Yeah. He looks at her and goes, happy anniversary. She's like, oh my God. He's like, all right, hold on. And he takes out the device and he goes over to the panel that's on his wall. She's standing there and he presses a button and she disappears. And this program title pops up where she was standing. It says like, Interactive Joy or something like that. And then it shuts off and the arm on the ceiling retracts and goes back to where it was, goes home and sits idle. And then he presses another button on the control stick, and there she is again. She's standing in the living room, and before, the arm would follow her wherever she went, I guess just to project her, and now she's free of it. Yeah. So she's all happy and tests it out, like she moves around the room and watches the arm, and it doesn't move.
Nice.
She's like, and he's smiling, he's like, yep, there you go, baby. And he says, you're not stuck here anymore. You can go anywhere in the world. Where would you like to go? We cut, and he's in his coat again, and he's walking up out on the roof, and it's raining. And you see Joy coming out the doorway behind him, and she's standing there and goes out into the rain, and every time something passes through her, you get like this weird little, kind of like you can see through her. It's like a little glitch that happens. And they have a moment up on the roof, man. When he goes to touch her, he has to like pretend that he's doing it. It's weird. It's almost like these two actors were like told to not break the force field.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and when they digitized her, it just looks like, yeah, if he's not careful, he'll just put his hand through her. Mm-hmm. But he's trying to act it out. And it's kind of like, this could either be really sweet or kind of perverted. And she goes to kiss him, and he goes to kiss her back. And then you hear a vibrating noise, almost like when your phone goes off in your pocket. Mm-hmm. And she freezes, like it froze the program. And he's like, man, fuck. And a thing pops up right next to her and says, you have a new voicemail. He goes, all right, play it. And it's Robin Wright, his lieutenant. She's like, look, you need to get your ass to the department right now. There's a situation. We got to take a look at some shit. All right? All right. He closes out that screen, and she's still standing there like she's about to kiss him. And he's like, damn. And he just walks off and presses the button, and she fucking disappears, man, and sticks the stick in his pocket.
Oh.
No time for love, Dr. Jones. We cut, and we're at the police station. Robin Wright's there. Kay's there. And a new character by the name of Coco. He's a funny-looking man. Has a shaved head, wears a lab coat. He's obviously the CSI technician of the place. Turns out, at Bautista's little farm, where the flower was that Kay picked up and had his moment, There was a footlocker buried underneath that by the tree. They dug it up, and what they found in it was a bunch of bones. Yeah. So they brought the bones back to the lab, and they started analyzing them. Our guy, Coco, actually has a camera atop of the table where the bones are displayed, and he's using this super imagery program to zoom in on the bones and, you know, who it was and all kinds of shit like that. They come to find out it was a woman, and she was pregnant. And they're like, okay, well, did Bautista go fucking insane and, kidnap somebody and kill them while they were pregnant? No, actually, there'd be baby bones if that was the case. And as it turns out, this looks like she died at childbirth or after childbirth, because you can see a small incision down there. The baby was having trouble coming out, and that must have been from the C-section. Bautista was a army medic, so he would have been trained to do this kind of thing. He was trying to save her life. They're like, gotcha. So where's the kid? No idea. And Coco is standing there and goes, he obviously has a distaste for replicants. He goes, maybe he ate it. And he just walks off. So Kay gets up to the camera controls and has his go at it. And he starts zooming in like 15,000 times. There's all these different lenses that you can hear switching out. And on one of the bones, it might have been the jawbone or wherever it was, he sees a serial number. So it was a replicant. And Robin Wright is like, that is not possible.
Shit.
Yeah. So it was a pregnant replicant. And I guess I'm new to this, but I come to find out replicants can't have babies, man.
No, they can't.
No, hell no. So next scene, we cut, and we're in Robin's office with Kay. She pours herself a drink, and she's like, look, motherfucker, look me in the eye. What you saw down there, it didn't happen. Do you understand the magnitude of this kind of shit? And he's like, yes, madam. If this gets out, we'll have a fucking war. Like, shit will never be the same. So you have to go and find the kid, and you have to clean this up.
Mm-hmm.
And Kay's standing there. He's like, well, to be born is to have a soul. She's like, what's your point? Well, I'd be killing someone with a soul. Does that mean you're telling me no? I didn't believe no was an option. There you go. That a boy. Go clean this up. He's like, yes, madam. And he walks out the office. The next scene we get, Kay is at the headquarters for all the replicants that are being made now. The Wallace Corporation. And it's a big hallway, and the reception desk is very closed off except for a very small line in between. And the entire room inside the reception area is lit up yellow. And you've got this strange-looking bald man. Kay is inquiring to the DNA and the file that they have for that particular replicant. When they found the bones, they also found the hair, because everything else rotted away. The hair was still there. So he had that bunched up, gives it to the receptionist. Receptionist puts it in a little spot on his desk. It opens up and it analyzes DNA so they can find the file of the replicant that belonged to. He's like, holy shit, okay. This is a pretty old replicant. This is like pre-blackout replicant. You know, we don't have very many files on these replicants, but I'll definitely take you down and we can take a look. We cut from there, and it's a close-up of a pair of women's hands having a cup of tea. And she's obviously working for the Wallace Corporation and having a conference with a customer. You get an electronic beep that comes from her desk. She stands up, and she is alerted that somebody has looked up this replicant. So, obviously, this is one that's on their list. So things are going on. Yeah. She looks up at the customer and she's like, can we reschedule this meeting for later? Cutting from there, we're with our receptionist friend, NK, and we're going through the archives. The archives are kind of strange looking. It's almost like they're all the cupboards where all the files are stored. It's all like made of wood. It's kind of weird looking. Mm-hmm. You come to think of it, this is an expensive company and this is the future, so there's like no more trees.
Yeah.
So boom. Money. The receptionist finds the spot where the file is on that woman, the bag of bones woman, pulls it, and he's like, yeah. He starts explaining some things about her and whatnot. And that woman, that was our woman who was having tea, working for the Wallace Corporation, she shows up, and our receptionist friend is just excused at that point. The woman comes up to Kay, and she's looking at the file that the receptionist handed her before he left. And she's like, an old Tyrell model. Unremarkable. And puts the file back and starts to ask Kay, what's his deal, man? Why is he here? And introduces herself as Love. Kay looks at her and he's like, Mr. Wallace must like you enough to name you. Just kind of like a little smack in the face for that one, you know?
Yeah.
All right. So she takes him on a tour down to the very sealed off archives, stuff that's not for the public. As they're walking, they're having all kinds of existential talks about replicants and shit. And they pass some glass tubes where there's some old school replicants, like, preserved in there.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, it's weird. It's like they're all bald and shit, and they kind of move, but they're not awake. Weird. Either way, we wind up at an area where there was a door and a eyeball scanner, and Love goes up to it and has her eye scanned. And the door automatically opens, but it creaks and stops. And she's like, sorry, nobody's been down here for so long. She grabs it and just opens the shit. And the sound of it is made to be pretty loud. So, oh yeah, baby. They walk into this room, and it's all steel instead of wood. She opens up one of the drawers, and it looks like there's all these little glass balls in there. And she's like explaining to Kay that all of the old memories from the pre-blackout, there's not much left of them, but you can get little clues and things like that. Certain memories still remain. She pulls out one of the glass balls and puts it into a viewer, and all you get is this shot of an eyeball on a digital screen. But you can hear Rachel and Decker having a conversation.
Who's Rachel?
Just the replicant that Harrison Ford raped in the first one.
Okay. Sean Young.
Sean Young. And what's left of the little memory that's buried in the archives down there is just I don't know, it sounded like an interrogation. Series of questions from Deckard to Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. It cuts off.
Okay.
And Love looks at Kay and, tries to have some normal conversation. She's like, do you enjoy your work, Detective Kay? And he's just, that'll be all, thank you. Thank Mr. Wallace for his time as well. And he walks out. So he's like, bitch. The vital piece of information that Kay learned from this little visit to Wallace Corporation is that the detective that was monitoring this replicant was Rick Deckard.
Uh-huh.
So he starts following the lead on Deckard. We cut to a retirement home, and Kay is sitting down at a table having a conversation with Gaff.
All right. Edward James Olmos.
There you go. And I looked this up. It's Gaff is another detective that was following Deckard in the first one.
Yeah. He, didn't trust him or something.
Yeah. So Kay's asking him questions about Deckard and, what he was like and where he is, that kind of shit. And Gaff is telling him, look, he's retired now and he's doing what he wants. And be like, well, where do you think he'd be? Be like, well, probably not here at all. So all that dude wanted to be was alone.
Yeah.
Both of us, me and Deckard, we worked together because we worked alone, the both of us. And we wanted to keep it that way. So that lead just kind of died right then and there. All right, we're back at Wallace Corporation, though. And we're back with Love. She's in this room, and it's a pretty big-ass room, but most of it is just water. And there's like a little island of floor left. And the walkway to get there is like split up floor. It's weird.
Uh-huh.
She walks over there, and she's like, welcome back, sir. Starts having a conversation with, whoever's sitting there in the shadows. And as the lights start to come up, it's Neander Wallace.
Jared Leto.
Jared Leto.
The owner of the Wallace Corporation.
Yeah, the Lawless Wallace man.
Okay.
Is he sinister? I don't know, man.
I don't know. He seems very gentle.
I think Jared Leto might be a gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
But when we open up on this guy, we don't really get to see his eyes. Not yet. He's having conversation, one-on-one with Love here. But when he gets up and starts walking, we see that his eyes are all fucking grayed out. So, turns out Mr. Wallace is blind.
Yeah.
Having a lot of existential conversation. We're just talking about life and what it's like to be fake, I guess. Cut to another room that's, completely made of wood. And it's got like I don't know, man, like a big-ass Ziploc bag in the middle of the room.
How big?
Dude, it's big. It's big, and it's coming from the ceiling. And the ceiling just, has an opening where the bag just keeps going up, and you can't see it no more.
Uh-huh.
Light coming from that. Anyway, inside the bag, kind of, I guess, vacuum-packed, is a person.
Uh-huh.
And all of a sudden, this bag just, rips open from the bottom, and the person just drops. And you know what? She's covered in fucking yellow jelly.
Oh, is this like a replicant being born?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
All the while, we're having voiceover from Mr. Wallace. And I gotta tell you, man, there is so much talk about life and all kinds of shit.
Does it matter?
Man, no.
Okay.
Blind dude walks into a room with his lady secretary, who's all dressed up in white, Love. And you got a replicant lying on the floor in the middle of the room, and she's going... catching her breath because she's getting born. All right.
Yeah.
He's talking life. Love walks up with a tray of chips. They're like computer chips, but she takes it, one of them, and sticks it behind his ear, and you hear this little magnetic click. And as it turns out, I guess these are like vision modes for the blind man.
Okay.
And he's got all these little hovering cameras that whirl around the room, and they're like, yeah,
Acting like his eyes.
yeah, man. So he's the predator.
Okay.
Yeah, man. He's got the vision. Mr. Wallace grabs a scalpel and goes up to the replicant, talking about, the idea of putting so many replicants out that we can go to more planets than they have now. Because right now, at this current moment in 2049, we have 9 different planetary colonies.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's talking about, we should own the stars. Everything will be ours. I'm Dr. Seuss. He's talking about replicants giving birth to replicants, so he don't have to fucking manufacture them anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So we're catching on to the plot line. He knows what Kay, or Ryan Gosling, is up to, what he's finding out.
Uh-huh.
So, to kind of prove how fucking worthless replicants are, he takes that scalpel and, basically de-guts the one that just got born.
Oh, jeez.
And man, it's like, okay, there you go. Blood rolling down a naked woman's leg. You just get all these beautiful shots of crazy shit.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Tits?
Mm-hmm. This tits.
Oh.
And you know what? She's just standing there, obeying.
Yeah.
But,
Oh, she's a robot.
yeah. She's
Okay.
still bleeding blood, though.
You made me bleed my own blood.
Yeah. But that kind of shit catches up to her, and she drops and dies. And Love, sheds a tear because she's an emotional robot. Mr. Wallace is, he looks at Love and he goes, you need to bring me the child.
Oh.
And we cut to the city. It's daytime, but it's raining like a sumbitch. Concrete jungle, baby, and it's wet as fuck.
Okay.
All right, so Kay is sitting at a table. He's gone to a cafe, but it's on the outside. So this dude's sitting in the rain because he's just like, fuck it. hardened cop. Let's do this noir style.
Is he still all ripped up from his fight with Drax?
Nah, man. He's good to go.
I see him in the previews, and he's like covered in soot. Like,
Dude, he does get dirty. I will hand this to Ryan Gosling. He is a good-looking motherfucker when he's dirty. Like, get him dirty?
is he dirty now?
No.
Oh, okay.
He's all cleaned up. As a matter of fact, all the cuts that he had, he stuck some like weird liquid glue shit from a rip pack, like a
Okay.
vial.
He fixed himself up.
Yeah, and it
Okay.
cleaned up his wound. Either way, he's Kay, and he's sitting down at a table, and he's checking out these pictures, right?
Like on a tablet?
Nah, man. Straight up picture. But you know what?
Like paper pictures?
Paper pictures.
Where'd they get the paper?
I don't know, but I'll tell you this much. That picture, it moves.
Oh.
It's future paper.
Nice.
There you go. While he's looking at these pictures, not eating his disgusting noodles or whatever he got from the restaurant, you got a couple of working ladies standing on the corner. We see a shadowy figure walking out from the darkness. We're behind her. She opens up an umbrella. It's clear.
That's from the first one.
Yeah. Anyway.
Lots of clear umbrellas.
Yeah, man. And you know what?
Does anyone have a clear trench coat?
You know what? Yeah. As a matter of fact, there's a couple of wardrobes that Joy wears.
All right.
For Kay. So, man, this figure walks out, goes up to the hookers. She must be the pimp. Goes up to the hookers, and she's like, the man in the green jacket who's like 3 meters off. You see him over there? Right over there. I want you to go up to him. I want you to come on to him. I want you to find out what he knows.
The guy in the Bane jacket.
Yeah. Dirty Gosling. And he's sitting there looking at these pictures, man, and just all of a sudden, ladies. They all pop a squat right next to him, and they're like touching him and shit. And one of them speaks Russian or some shit, and she looks at him and goes, man, motherfucker, this dude's a Blade Runner. I'm not down with this. We're getting out of here. Fuck this shit.
How do they know that?
I don't know. This one chick, she just took one look at him and was like, So 2 of them leave, 1 of them stays. And the one that stays is actually somebody that I've noticed. It's Mackenzie Davis.
Oh, yeah. She's good.
Yeah, man. Not bad. Not bad at all.
She's a Yorkie from Black Mirror.
There you go.
A show on Netflix. You need to watch Black Mirror, dude.
You know, I've been told this quite a few times.
She plays Mariette.
That little pen device that Joy is hooked up to, it makes a sound, a symphony hit. Dum 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 dum. Mackenzie hears that shit going off in his pocket, and she goes, what's the matter? You don't like real girls? He realizes right off the bat that she's a replicant, too. Mariette leaves the table, and she's like, hey, if you ever feel like getting real with somebody, you know where to find me, and she walks off. We cut to Bautista's farm, and it's all taped up, man. Police line, do not cross, crime scene, that kind of shit. He sits down, and he's looking around at the room, and there's a piano in the corner, and he notices that one of the keys is kind of halfway pressed down. So he goes up to it, presses the key, and it makes like a gung, almost like something's weighing down on the string. So he opens up the top of the piano, and he goes scrummaging around into the guts of that shit, and he pulls out a tin box, opens it up, and finds a baby's sock. Like a little memory of the kid that was born.
Yeah.
And as he's checking that out, he looks back into the tin, pulls out a picture, and it's a picture of a woman holding a child in front of that dead-ass tree, which in the picture is kind of still alive.
Yeah.
So it was a while ago. We cut, and Kay is going out to the tree. There's that big hole dug in the ground where the dig team found the locker full of bones. And as he's looking at the tree, he sees some shit carved into it. So he's like, what the fuck? Right at the base. Goes up to it and pushes the dirt aside and sees 3 sets of numbers. And it's 6-10-21. And the second he sees it, he starts to lose his nerve. He gets up and he starts feeling uneasy about shit. You get a little flashback.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And what you see in the flashback is like, in the foreground there's a hand holding like a kid's toy, but in the background there's lots of fire, and you only see it for like a split second, and he's still backing up. So Kay's wigging out. Kay comes to his senses, and the next scene we see is Kay going to his car, and in the background is Bautista's character's house set on fire. So he set that shit to burn. He was like, fuck it.
All right.
Yeah. And we cut right back to the police department. We're in the CSI labs, and guess who's there? The assistant to Mr. Wallace, Love. And she's cracked open the drawer that contains the bones to the replicant that was, dug up. And she's taking all the bones, and she's putting them in her purse. But Coco comes into the room, and he's like, excuse me, what the fuck are you doing? You can't take those. And she's like, no, actually I can. If you look here, she pulls out of the purse where she was just placing the bones. She has a piece of paper that's like laminated and has the LAPD logo on the top of it. And she's like, actually, my company has sorted out that I can take these back and store them in our archives. Here's the paperwork. Everything's all there in black and white. She hands it to him, and she starts to walk off, but turns back around and, like, karate chops Coco in the back of the neck. And, man, I imagine if you just remove the sound, it looks pretty ridiculous, but the sound makes it like she just took one of his vertebrae and fucking karate chopped it right where his Adam's apple was.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, he drops to the floor, and he is fucking like, it is a weird scene because his head is like dropped into his shirt, and he's gargling up blood, and his eyes are completely bloodshot.
Oh,
and he's just like, it's pretty gross.
Yeah.
And just like nothing happened, she goes back to the bones and keeps putting more of them in her purse. We cut again, and Kay is back at his apartment, except that Madam is there, the lieutenant, Robin Wright.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, look, man, like, do you understand the magnitude of this kind of shit? Like, if anybody finds out that a replicant got pregnant, this kind of shit will break the fucking world.
Yeah.
So, you need to hurry the fuck up and solve this shit. And he's like, yeah. Just coming back from Bautista's burning the shit out of the house. She's having a drink, and she kind of disarms her macho shit going on there and starts asking him personal questions, like, about his memories. Like, what kind of memories do you have? He's like, well, what the fuck does it matter? They're all fake. They're all implanted memories. None of them are real. And she's like, well, I still like to hear about them. What about, your childhood? Do you remember, what kind of memories do you have there? And he's like, well, I have one. Well, I was a kid, and I had this wooden horse as my toy, and all the other kids were chasing me, trying to take it from me. So, and we get a flashback of all this shit happening. A kid running through some futuristic shit, like a fucking big-ass factory. Everything's run down, looks like shit. So I took my toy and I went down to the basement where the furnace was. Everything was burning down there, all that shit. But I ran down there and I took my toy, wrapped it up in a rag, and I stuck it in one of the unlit furnaces just to hide it. And it shows this kid doing this shit. And the kid winds up standing in front of one of the burning furnaces. All the other kids catch up to him, all the other bullies. And they're all fucking bald, except for our kid, Ryan Gosling. So, no lice there. Kay's telling her about how the kids started beating the shit out of him, trying to get him to tell him where the toy was. But he wouldn't give up and never told him. So they just left him in a bloody mess. He's like, it's not a very good memory, but, it's what I got. And Robin Wright's kind of like, aw, little Kay fighting for what's his. We cut, and Kay is at the department, and he's looking through archives at, like, the birth records of all the replicants. And his stick vibrates, and you hear that music note play, and Joy's like, hey, do you like the lieutenant? He's like, what? No. Why do you ask? I don't know. I was just listening to your, you telling her about your childhood. He's like, oh, you were listening. It's like, yeah. And they start talking about the DNA of the replicants, and they're all put up on this page in the viewfinder. There's like 3 different pages, and they all contain 3 separate letters, and they're all in this weird code. And he's like flipping through them. And any normal human being would look at that shit and be like, yeah, this is all gibberish. But he's looking at it like, I know what I'm looking at. They have a moment where the both of them are looking through this shit and they're talking about the case and whatnot. It's kind of crazy. Like, this digital woman is also like getting right where he is, like almost merging with him so that she can look at him too.
Yeah.
You know, because there's no limits to what she can do. She can walk through walls if she wants to. Fucking whatever. Anyway, he hits pay dirt and finds these 2 replicant records that are of a boy and a girl. And the DNA for both of them are exactly the same. And they're both sitting there and they're like, Kay's like, that's impossible. You know, 2 people can't have the same DNA. But lo and behold, there they are. They're exactly the same. And it gives him like a little tip. It's another clue to the case.
2 replicants can't have the same DNA?
Exactly.
Okay.
And when he's looking through the records of this boy and girl, he finds out that the girl has died, already passed away, something like it happened at childbirth, but the boy wound up at an orphanage. And he closes the viewfinder and she's like, all right, so what are we going to do now? He's like, you want to go for a ride? And it cuts and we're outside, man, and we're looking at like the walls of the city, and it's like spewing water out some of the fucking gates and shit. And you see the car flying by, and it's Kay and Joy.
Yeah.
And they're leaving Los Angeles, and you see some subtext on the bottom of the screen that says, San Diego, trash processing. So I guess San Diego in itself is an entire fucking trash lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're flying above all this land that is just completely and totally covered in trash. You know, you can't see the ground whatsoever. And there's big trash trucks letting out all this garbage and shit. So they're flying up high and above everything. And they start to get shot at. Like, bullets start hitting the car. And she looks at him like all weird and nervous. And she's like, what the hell are we going to do? And he's like, buckle up. So she buckles up and he dives down, going below the radar. But there is no radar. It's just poor people shooting at him. And one of these poor guys, these guys hanging out in trash land, has a fucking harpoon gun. And he aims it up at the car and fucking fires. And he's a pretty good shot, man, because it fucking hits the car. And you just hear thunk. And you see Kay's face, and he's just like, the fuck? Keeps on flying by, but the rope is getting pulled out of wherever this dude shot his fucking harpoon gun, and it goes taut and starts pulling a fucking kite behind them. And the kite fucking goes up into the sky. In San Diego, like, the weather is shit. Like, nothing but dark clouds and whatnot. The kite goes up into the sky, and you just hear boom! And all of his controls in his car go fucking dead. Everything blacks out. So he just got struck by lightning. It was like a method to take down cars.
Wow.
Yeah. And even Joy, like, looks at Kay and goes, Kay? And then fucking glitches out and stops. So he's just like, falling. Yeah. So he's flying blind. He's got no jet power, no nothing. And he crashes into the ground. And, man, it's a pretty hard crash. All the trash goes flying everywhere. Everything just, and he stops. He's unconscious. Okay. But the controls start coming back on. Not that he would notice. And even Joy comes back, but she's all glitched, and she's trying to yell at him and tell him to wake up. She even winds up outside of the car trying to bang on the door. Like, it's kind of sad looking because she's glitching the fuck out, but she keeps calling his name over and over again, almost like repeating it. But every time she does it, like, she starts crying and shit, and then her power stick in his pocket, I guess, just shuts the fuck off. So she's gone, and as soon as she disappears, then you can see what's behind her, and over the summit are coming a bunch of hobos. And man, they got the tools for the job for this kind of shit. This is day in, day out for them. Shoot the fucking car with a harpoon, take it down, and we have our own Jaws of Life magnetic thing that's just going to pry the door open, and we can loot this motherfucker. So yeah, man, when he wakes up, he just hears the saw going and the fucking car door being pulled off. Everybody backs up, and he just like stumbles out, and one of them goes to like fucking come at him with a big steel rod. And he beats the shit out of this fucker. He like clocks him once, picks him up and holds him up in the air and just slams him down on his knee. Breaks his fucking back and like chucks him off to the side. Pulls his gun and super rapid fire like kills 5 people. Like in less than a second.
Nice.
Yeah. And he's doing his thing where he's just kind of like, all right, look, I don't want any trouble. But before he can get those words out, fucking there's rockets coming out of the sky, hitting everybody else, and blowing everybody the fuck up who's standing around him. Plus people that are coming up over the summit to go see what's going on. You know, people who are late to the party.
Yeah.
And blowing everything up. Meanwhile, you cut, and we got Love, the Wallace assistant, sitting in a chair, getting her nails done, and she's wearing, like, some sunglasses. But through them, she can see via GPS satellite this targeting system that's right on Kay's car. Getting her nails done, but she's going, fire, fire, 10 degrees west, fire, fire. And she's just like throwing rockets at people. She stops all the firing and the barrage of rockets and zooms in on Kay, and she's like, oh, come on, be a good boy. Get up and find the kid. So he gets up and activates the drone on his car. And he's like, look, just watch the car. And he looks up into the sky, and he can see this little glint. So it's like, yep, there's a satellite up there. He's being watched. He walks up over that summit where all the hobos were coming from. And there's a bunch of like, they look like satellite dishes that were turned upside down and used as homes, I guess. And one of those things is a fucking orphanage. It's the orphanage he was looking for. So he goes in, and there's a bunch of kids, and they're all kneeling down, doing whatever. And they see him, and they all stand up, and they start like feeling his coat, feeling him, and just like, oh, outsider. And one of them leads him to this area where it's full. It's this huge room, and it's full of tables, and there's all these little kids that are dismantling like electronics and computer chips and shit. And there's this one guy that's standing up going, I don't fucking need you. I don't need any of you. I need you to work. And then he turns around and sees Kay. He's like, well, hello. Like, we have a guest. So he brings him over and gives him a tour of the shop. It's like, yeah, all these kids, you know, it builds character. You know, you teach them how to do something, teach them how to do something else, and da-da-da-da-da. And they're taking all this shit apart. You know, it's just raw electronics, raw material, blah, blah, blah. And, like, one of the kids who's taking shit apart, like, knocks a bowl of electronics over. And the dude stands there, and he's like, like, if I didn't have this visitor come in, I'd probably knock you 2 shades of shit. But they come to the end of their tour, and he's talking to Kay, and he's like, all right, so what do you want? Do you want one of these fuckers? And it gets a little weird. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sale. Kids. And that's when Ryan Gosling pulls out his badge. And in big electronic blue letters says, LAPD. And our orphan caretaker is like, oh, shit, man. Look, man, I've been busted before, and there was nothing. I've had so many people come through here try to fucking ruin my game. I'm just running my game, man. He's like, look, I'm not here to fucking take you in. I want to ask you a few questions. A kid came through here like 30 years ago. I want to know about him. And he's like, I don't keep records that long, man. Come on, look at me. He's like, okay. Yeah. Fucking punches him in the face. So, got a big old bloody nose, and he's like, I think you're going to tell me what I want to know. We cut to the caretaker taking Kay through the facility, kind of the unmanned areas, deserted, factory-looking kind of place, to his office. But Kay is stopped along the way because he's looking at the room. He's looking down the aisle, and he recognizes it. And it's actually the same place that he remembers from his childhood. His fake memory.
Oh.
Yeah. So you're like, fuck. This is kind of getting weird. The caretaker's like, hey, man, are you coming? So they wind up in his office. And the caretaker is pulling out all these books, records. He's going through them, flipping through them fast as fuck, trying to find that 30 years ago kid came through, that kind of shit. What Kay is asking for. He stumbles upon a part of the book that should be and should have the records of those kids, but every single page of that year is torn out.
Oh.
He's like, it was here. It's right here, but they're gone. Somebody took them. Ryan Gosling goes up to the desk and he starts looking at the book. And yeah, man, there's a bunch of pages torn out. And the caretaker just wanders off, mumbling some shit. I guess that punch to the face and broken nose kind of jarred him quite a bit. He's rambling, going off. Fuck it. So, that lead is dead. Kay is leaving the office, and he stops again at that hallway and starts to go through the area where, in his memory, the furnace should be.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes down, and none of them are lit. It's at this point in the film that you get a lot of those keynote bass hits. Yeah, baby. So he goes to where, in his memory as a child, he hid the wooden horse.
Mm-hmm.
His hands are shaking and shit. He shakes quite a bit at this point. And he goes to where he hid the horse as a kid. And he starts digging through the ashes and shit. And he pulls out a big ball of rags and starts undoing it. And inside is indeed the fucking wooden horse.
Fuck yeah.
Yes, so that memory, it's not an implant. That's real.
Yeah.
And he's freaking. And he turns the horse over, and on the bottom of its feet are those fucking digits, man. 6, 10, 21. So it dawns on him, and he starts to think about this shit. And that's when you, as the audience, starts to realize, yeah, man, 30 years ago, you hiding a horse, you're the kid.
Yeah.
So Ryan Gosling's like, shit. And we cut, and we're back in Kay's apartment with Joy. And Joy's talking to him. She's like, look, man, I always knew that you were special, and I always told you that. And you are. And Ryan Gosling's still, taking all this shit in. He's kind of spaced out. And she's like, a replicant that was birthed into the world. If you were pushed into this world, your mother would have given you a name. Joe. And he's like, what? Life and death and shit. All this replicant shit, Joe. And he's like, stop calling me that. I don't have a name. My name is Kay. And he's talking to her about his memory. And he's like, I need to know whether this is real. She goes, well, who makes the memories? Cut. And we're at a doctor's office. Except that this doctor is a memory doctor. Memories for replicants. And he walks into the office and comes through the door and is immediately met with a wall of glass to this big room where one woman is standing in, and she's got an entire forest around her, and she's turning wheels on this little necklace thing that she's got around her neck. And it's a device that is controlling almost like a Photoshop type thing in the room. She's changing bugs and the way they look in the forest and shit. He's like, I would like you to help me with a case. And she's like, wow, I've been asked for help for quite a few things. Never been asked for help on a case before. Okay. And forgive me about the glass wall and whatnot. When I was born with a compromised immune system. I can't leave this room, otherwise I'll die. Mm-hmm. And she says to him, I hope you don't mind if I work while we talk. I promise. I'm totally listening to you. He's like, all right. And she's working on like a birthday memory with a bunch of kids. And it's the point where the birthday kid is blowing out the candle cake. And she's like designing the cake at first and then putting the kids in there. And it's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're having discussions about memories. And he is asking her, like, where do you get your memories from? Like, how do you design this and fabricate all this shit? Do they come from real memories? She's like, well, they're kind of inspired by, but, once you've seen one and you can kind of like design happy memories and all that, that's what I do, and I love my work. It's like, do you work for Wallace? And be like, he tried to buy me out, but I won't work with him solely like that. I'm contracted, so I still have the freedom to work for whoever I want to, but yes, I do work for Wallace. Like, okay. Do you ever implant real memories? She turns around and she's like, you can't really do that. Considering the circumstances with it, that's actually illegal to implant a real memory. Can you tell what memories are real and which ones aren't? And she's like, well, yeah, I have a pretty good eye for that. Yeah. Like, whether somebody has actually lived the event or not? Yeah. I'd like you to take a look at a memory for me. One of yours? Yes. She comes over to the glass, stops working on what she's working on, and it sits down at a computer. And right across from it, going through the glass, is like an imager that's pointed at another chair. And she's like, go ahead and sit down in the chair. Kay sits down. She's like, all right, think of the events of it, or even just feel it. I'll pick it up on this machine. So you get a shot of Ryan Gosling sitting there, and he's obviously thinking about the horse and getting beat the shit out of. And it's crazy because this scene relies entirely on our two actors. You don't get to see any of the memory at all. You just see Ryan Gosling tear up a little bit. And then you see the doctor start to waterworks. Like, she's like, oh my God, this is a horrible fucking memory. This sucks. And she looks up at him and she's like, this is a real memory. He walks out of the building, like very corporate looking, but obviously this chick fucking lives there. Kind of strange. But it's snowing outside. And he comes down the steps, stops, and opens up his hand, and he's kind of looking at the snowflakes dropping on his shit. But at that moment, a cop car hovers up above him. It's like, Agent K1235, blah, 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 blah. Want you to put your gun down, your hands on your head, you're under arrest. And he's back at the Los Angeles Police Department performing a baseline test. If you hold your partner's hands and with the intertwined. And you know what? He's pausing. And he's kind of fucking up his test. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And Robin Wright is in our office looking at the review, and the camera in the room is to the side this time, and she's watching his, like, throat, I guess his neck. Mm-hmm. And when he pauses and he's, like, gulping, kind of considering his answers.
Yeah.
And she's like, fuck. This motherfucker. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
All right. We cut, and he is in her office with two guards. And she's like, you guys can go. Just wait outside. And she goes, what the fuck? I sent you out to go take care of some shit, and we find you at a memory bank, and you take the baseline test? You were nowhere close to baseline. What is going on? And he just cuts the bullshit and goes straight to the point and lies. I found the kid. What? It's dealt with. What you asked me to do, it's taken care of. Okay. She sits down in her chair. You have no idea the shitstorm that you just fucking prevented. So he just side-skirted that entire fucking baseline test?
Yeah.
Like, okay. Robin Wright's thinking about it. You know, maybe he's a little off his kilter because, you know, he had to go and kill something with a soul. Mm-hmm. She's like, all right, I can get you out of the station. You can, you know, go about your business, but tomorrow you're going to take another baseline test. Here's the thing, though. I won't be in control of it. If you fuck it up again, you're fucked. He's like, got it. He comes into his apartment, and Joy is there waiting for him. And, man, I know she's just a program, but she's wearing, like, this Chinese dress, and fuck, she looks hot. He comes in, and he's like, yeah, it's been a day. He's about to explain to her that they got to start running.
Yeah.
But she, like, shushes him real quick. And the hooker, Mariette, walks through the door. She walks through the door and starts walking towards him. He turns to Joy, and he's like, what's this? What the hell's going on? She's like, well, I thought that you liked her. And you get the idea, yeah, Joy just hired this chick.
Yeah.
To come and do the nasty. So, they're standing there, and Kay is kind of disagreeing with this shit, but Joy's got this other idea in mind, and it's weird, man, because she goes over to Mariette and basically, like, stands right where she's standing, like almost becoming her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, digitizes herself over Mariette. And Mariette's like, oh, fucking Jesus. This is ridiculous. You are a very special woman. And she's like, shut up. I'm trying to sync. It's weird, man, because you get a lot of camera action on her face, or both of their faces, and it keeps on, like, moving between them both.
Yeah.
It's weird, man. Just like that scene alone, it's very interesting to watch. So yeah, it goes down hot and heavy with a digital. Cuts to the morning, and Mariette wakes up. No Kay laying in bed. She gets up and goes over to his jacket and sneaks like a little tracking chip into his pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, her pimp was trying to get some information about him. And, you know, she hears some rustling around the kitchen, and you see a naked Kay walk through and go to the shower. She's like, all right, fuck it. I'm going to get dressed and fucking take off. Like hookers do. So, Kay is in the kitchen, and Joy comes around the corner. The talk gets serious, though, because Kay is now finally getting down to brass tacks and saying, look, we gotta run. They're gonna come looking for me. Joy understands what's going on, and, man, like a trooper, she's like, all right, I'm coming with you, but here's what you need to do for me. You need to destroy any memory of me on that console in the house. Because any memory of me, of you, they're going to use against you. He's like, if I remove you from the house, there's no more backup. It basically means that you are entirely on this stick and you're dead. That's all there is. She's like, you need to do it for me. So he goes and deletes her off of the mainframe of his apartment. And she's like, okay, and you need to pull the little tracking chip that's connected to me for updates on the stick and on the console, and you need to break that shit. Are you serious, baby? Do it. And yeah, man, he breaks the chip, and that's all there is of Joy at that point. So totally vulnerable at that point.
Yeah.
And they pack their shit, and they fucking get the hell out of Dodge. No more baseline checks for Kay. So the office lady chick, Love, Mr. Wallace's assistant, has a track on Joy, actually. So when the chip breaks, the signal is lost, and she goes apeshit. So fuck it. Grab your coat, get out the office, get into the car, and she goes to Kay's apartment to find it empty. So shit is going down, and she is not pleased. Cut again, and we are with Kay and Joy, and Kay is having the horse analyzed, his little toy horse, the wood horse.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of looks like it's with this flea market guy, and he's speaking a different language. But basically, he's like, oh man, this is real wood. You're You're rich, my friend. What do you want? You want to get a real horse? Or maybe a goat or something? If you need papers to get off world, I could totally get those for you too. Fuck, you're rich. This shit's gold. Kay doesn't give a shit. He's like, look, I need to know where the wood came from. Could you figure that out for me? They do some talking, some wheeling and dealing, and next thing you know, Kay and Joy are in an old part of California, I guess. There is no subtext as to where they are, but it is, or what used to be, a highly radiated part of the city.
Okay.
So all the shit is orange.
Okay.
And it's very cloudy. And Kay is performing like a scan of the area. He's going through the city and checking shit out. This place is desolate. There's nobody there. I mean, like, entire streets, highways, fucking deserted. And there's like these big ass statues that are hanging around. Some of them are of big titted women.
Yeah.
Yeah. Either way, he sees off in the distance that there is a sign of life by one of the statues. And we cut again. We're back at the office. The LAPD office of Robin Wright. And she's looking at some files on the computer. And Love walks in. And Love has already killed a fucking CSI technician, so this ain't looking good. They exchange some dialogue about the kid that was born from the replicant. And Robin Wright's like, yeah, no, man. My guy actually already took care of that. So that shit's done. You came over here for no fucking reason. She starts pouring herself a drink. Drinks it. Has the cup in her hand and crushes the glass in her hand. They have some fucking conversation about shit. And she's like, I'm going to say that you pulled your gun on me, so I had to kill you. And then she fucking just kills the lieutenant. All right, man. We're back in the Orange City. And Kay's walking through this desolate desert area with fallen statues and shit of huge tits. As he's walking through, checking shit out, being careful, like, you know, a bee lands on his hand. He's like, what the fuck? And that's part of the life form that he saw in the drone. So he goes over, and there's like a beekeeper's farm that's there. And it's kind of like, no dialogue, check this cool shit out that I can film, kind of director.
Yeah.
Cool stuff.
All right.
There's
so bees. They're real bees?
Real bees.
All right. That's meaningful in this world, though. Someone's in charge of these bees.
Someone is.
Okay.
So, all right. We're in the hotel that he saw. So he goes into this place and it's completely deserted. And he's still checking shit out. It's very quiet. I mean, holy shit. All the bass booms. This is almost like painful because of the lack of booms. No bongs, no nothing. He's going through the hotel, and everything looks like the end of the era. Everybody ran from the building or whatever. Everything's vacant, covered in dust. And you imagine that scenario of like, what if I was the last man on Earth? Because that's what it would be like to be in this area.
Yeah.
And it's fucking cool. And he goes to investigate further, but before he does, he steps over a tripwire that was right at the doorframe he was standing in. So this is booby-trapped.
Yeah.
Somebody's here. Goes into one area, and it is a gambling area. There's a bar, and it's full of liquor. He's like, a drink.
Man, all the drinking in this movie.
Oh, yeah, there's a bunch of drinking.
Just like the first one. What
Hell
the
yeah.
fuck? All right.
Yeah, baby. Keeps walking through the rooms, okay? And one of the rooms contains a grand piano. All right, he presses the key, and yeah, man, he gets some attention. Because he's standing there, and at first it looks like nobody heard it. But he's looking down the hallway, and it's like there's no lights, because the only lights that are actually in the building are from the outside, from the sun. This hallway has no lights, but all you get is a silhouette of a fucking wolf that just showed up. And you know what? You can't actually see the thing, but the camera like pans around it so you can see oh yeah, man, that's a wolf.
Yeah.
And it's just standing there making no noise. And then you hear a voice off in the distance behind Ryan Gosling. You, wouldn't happen to have a piece of cheese on you, would you, boy?
Fucking took him long enough. Jesus. Fucking hell. Not till the third act.
And you know who that is. So Ryan Gosling turns around and he goes, Treasure Island. And Harrison Ford steps out of the shadows with a gun pointed straight at Kay. And I was like, oh, good. You read. And they have some conversation about some books and shit. And right off the bat, Kay's like, look, I'm not here to take you in. He's like, is that so? Well, that's good. And fucking goes to blow Kay away. But Kay is leaning up against the railing for the second floor, and he just dodges the bullet and drops right off the fucking banister. Harrison Ford comes up, and he looks down. There's no body, man. But the dust imprint is there. It looks like, yeah, man, he hit the carpet and ran off.
Mm-hmm.
No blood. So he dodged a bullet. This part of the film is, man, it's really just Decker hunting Kay in his hotel full of traps.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. This is Decker's home that he's made for himself. Kay is, at this point, he's kind of roughed up. He looks pretty sweaty, and he's hiding. And Decker's hunting him, and he's got mines and bombs placed fucking everywhere. And Kay goes to move, and he's hiding in this room, hiding behind a corner, goes to put his foot forward, and all you hear is this beep, 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 and you just see this entire hallway fucking detonate. It's awesome. Totally makes up for the lack of bwongs. The entire theater is rocked by all this shit. But even so, after all the dust settles, you see there's a door that kind of closes. So that replicant got away. Decker's got to go hunt. Next scene we cut, and Kay is hiding in basically an auditorium area where there's lots of tables around. And you see an arm come up and grab a lever on a transformer, and he turns on the power, whoever it is. And it is Decker. And he turns on this hologram performance thing where the stage lights up with Elvis and lots of band members playing shit, except the audio is super fucking shitty, so it keeps cutting out. So it's super quiet at one point, and then goes,
Okay.
And I gotta be honest, this is a good distraction.
It is.
It makes it very unnerving.
Yeah.
You're just watching Kay sit there, be like, holy shit. All the lights went off, and now there's nothing but bright-ass flashing lights, and I see the hand of it. The hand of it. I heard the hand of it.
Okay. Are they in Las Vegas?
I don't know, man. I don't know where this city is.
They might be.
It gave no description.
That means we have returned to where we started on this episode of Movies with Ron.
Oh.
All right, go on.
Okay. Well, man, Decker's totally prepared for this shit because next thing you see is fucking Kay's leaning against the fucking booth and a big old bullet hole just happens right beside him. And they start beating the shit out of each other. He's not here to kill the motherfucker or take him in. He's on the run himself. And Gosling's like, look, I'm not here to hurt you. Didn't come here for that. I just want to ask you some questions. And Decker's like, well, that's good. And punches him in the face. Decker still does not believe him. And man, it takes about 15, 16 different punches to the face for Decker to wear himself out, and Gosling is just taking the hits. At the end of all that shit, Decker it dawns on him, and he's like, all right. And the music is still playing in the background with Elvis, and he's like, look, I really like this song. We could either do this, or I could get you a drink. And there's a big old pause, and Kay's like, I'll take the drink.
Is that a big moment? Everyone laughed?
It was a big old laugh, yeah.
Is the theater full?
No.
Okay.
It's kind of half.
All right.
Decker goes to the bar, and he goes, do you like whiskey? Well, I got whiskey. And he pours them both a shot. Pours them both a drink. And throws Kay a towel, because Kay is bleeding profusely from his face. And he grabs the 2 glasses, hands Kay one, and puts his on the desk, and lifts the bottle up in the air and pours a big old shot right onto the ground. And the dog comes up and starts drinking whiskey with him. So that's Decker's drinking buddy. He's a fucking wolf. Kay sits down to his drink, takes a sip, and he looks at the dog and Decker, and he goes, is it real? Decker looks at him, and he goes, I don't know. Why don't you ask him? What's your name, kid? My name is K70. No. That's a serial number. What's your name? All right. My name's Joe. Okay, Joe. What do you want to ask me? What's the name of the mother of your child? And Decker just sits there. Like, there you go. He doesn't answer, man. He's like, all right. What happened to the kid? All right. What's with the dog? All right. What's going on here? And he's like, you ask too many questions. It's like, you ain't answering shit, man. Her name was Rachel. And all these questions lead up to a big old explosion from Harrison Ford. He's a big old pissed off old man. So he's like, look, we were being hunted. I had to teach them and hide them the best that I could. I taught them how to blend in, how to hide all the records. What about the kid? You never wondered about what happened to the kid? And Kay is like sitting here talking about himself. To go and see the kid would have, I wanted to. Don't get me wrong, but that would have killed him. To love somebody, sometimes you gotta be a stranger. And Harrison Ford just takes his drink and fucking walks off. Fuck you, Kay.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck you, Joe. Dog walks off too. So, yeah, there you go. Joe is just sitting there enjoying his drink. But he's looking around the room, and, he sees a picture of Rachel from the first movie. Harrison Ford's love. Goes and sits out on the patio, laying on a fucking sunning chair. Like, all bloodied the fuck up, and having himself some whiskey.
In his Bane jacket?
In his Bane jacket.
Okay.
With lots of orange. Cut. And we have 5 hovering cars rolling into the Orange City.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, man. All right, we cut back. And Kay is gone up to the jukebox and made a selection with his whiskey drink. And next thing you know, you get a hologram of Sinatra on top of the jukebox singing, I'm drinking again. But in the big room with the bar, there's lots of computer equipment that's sitting on the other side of the bar. And one of those things starts going off. Fucking Harrison Ford comes in through the back room, goes up to the computer, and he's like, who the hell did you bring? I didn't bring anybody. I came by myself. Yeah? Who knows you're here? Nobody. Nobody should have followed me. Well, God damn it, somebody found out. And Harrison Ford just takes the fuck off. Starts running. Him and a dog.
Is it a dog or is it a wolf?
Oh, sorry. Him and the wolf.
Okay.
Kay lifts up a pair of binoculars and looks off into the distance and sees nothing. Nothing at all. Keeps panning. City skyline. And all he sees is a very small glint of a lens. So there's a drone out there that's watching him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, fuck. So he starts taking chase right after Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford and the wolf hauling ass down a hallway. They get through a door, and he closes the door and presses an electronic lock, and the whole door just locks shut like a fucking safe door.
Yeah.
Totally being like, yep, fuck Joe. And starts running towards his car that's parked in the high-rise. And as he's running through the wall, Joe just busts through, and he's still running. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It was pretty cool. I was like, oh, shit. Okay, yeah. Forgot. Superhuman.
Yeah.
Anyway, Harrison Ford is trying to get towards the car, but a big old missile comes through the window and blows the fucking car up and sends the both of them and the wolf towards the other side of the room where they just came from.
Mm-hmm.
Everything blows up, and another hovering car comes in and parks its ass right down where the blown-up car was. Bunch of men get out. They're all wearing gas masks and suits. So this is not the LAPD. Either way, everybody's unconscious. They go to grab Decker, pick him up, start pulling him towards the car. Decker wakes up and starts punching the fuck out of him, but he winds up getting bested because our old bitch-face friend shows up, fucking Love.
Yeah.
And she, like, I don't know, gives him a karate kick to the face or something and knocks him out. She's good with kicks.
Okay.
Yeah, she's like a kicker. Kay has taken shrapnel to the abdomen from the explosion. So he's bleeding out his gut and out his mouth. But that doesn't stop him from jumping up and going after Decker. So a guy comes out through the safe door, and he goes up behind Kay and points a gun straight at his head. Kay really quick dodges that shit, grabs the guy's gun, pulls his arm past him, and starts shooting all the other guys. Pulls his gun from him, blows his head off, and really quickly fucking dispatches like 3 of the fucking guys from the car. And then Love shows up and starts giving him kicks. Kicks him basically to death. So he's on the floor and he's like, all right. And all of his shit from his pocket has splayed out onto the floor.
Oh, right. He had the tracking device in him from the hooker.
That's right.
Okay.
However, that's not what we're concentrating on at this current moment.
Okay. Just made me realize.
What we're concentrating on is the joystick.
Ah.
Get it? Da-da-da! Joystick. Either way, there's Joy's fucking program stick laying on the ground, man. And you got an evil bitch who's standing over Kay. Joy shows up, and Love goes over to the stick and puts her boot over it. And Joy's like, please leave him alone. Don't hurt him. She's like, oh, isn't that fucking cute? And she lifts her fucking leg to go crush the stick. And just before her foot comes down, Joy runs over to Kay. She's like, I love you. And then she killed Joy.
Damn.
Yeah, man. So the bad guys make off with Decker, and they leave a heartbroken and bleeding out Kay to die in the wastelands. He keeps blacking out here and there, getting little blips of consciousness. Some people come for him, pick him up, and heal his wounds. And as it turns out, when he wakes up, it's our friend, the hooker.
Huh.
Yeah. So the tracker, it was for something, not for the company. She's sitting there asking him how he's feeling and whatnot, checking on his wounds. And then she tells him that there's somebody that wants to meet him. And it's the pimp, man.
Okay.
The pimp comes walking through, and she's like, do you want to check my eye? Takes off her sunglasses. And, man, her eyeball that has the code in it
Yeah.
is totally gone. She's only got one eye.
Okay.
Yeah, man. And we start having some dialogue about an uprising with replicants, and they're humans too. And her biggest thing is that there was a child that was born, and she was there when it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And she keeps saying, when she was born, blah, 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 blah. And Kay is a little confused. He speaks up and he's like, yeah, but the baby was a boy. I swathed the baby in blue before we sent it off. It was a girl. Oh, do you think that it was you? And Kay's like, oh, fuck.
What about the horse and shit?
I know, man. She's like, a lot of replicants wish that was them, that they were the child. I know, but it's not you. And she starts talking to him about dying for a purpose. That if a replicant can be born from another replicant, then they have a soul.
Yeah.
And there will be an uprising. There's no more, humans and just petty replicants. They're people too. So, Kay is not the baby.
There is no comfort.
Okay, man, and all this time it took to heal Kay's wounds, we cut, and we're with Deckard, man. And we are at the Wallace Corporation wood room full of water.
Okay.
Yeah. Jared Leto is blind. He comes walking up to the sitting area where Deckard is, and he pops a squat right next to him. He's got a little bag of something rather that's just swathed in silk, and he uncovers it, and it is the skull of Rachel. Fucking life, death. But some of the key points that he had for Deckard, and probably something to answer your, was Deckard a replicant or not?
Yeah.
Is he starts talking about, what if you were designed to fall for Rachel right when you saw her? And all of this was just fabricated. Like, your entire life was bent upon this moment that you two would get together and have a child.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
So he's human?
Fucking, I don't know, man.
Okay. I was thinking that's what this movie's doing. It's not answering the question.
No, it's not. Not at all. As a matter of fact, like, it totally went right over my head. I was like, the fuck is this about?
You need to see the first movie, man.
I totally do. Either way.
Okay.
He's talking to him about Rachel and wants to know some information about where the kid is. So he needs the kid. He wants the kid. So to try to provide some greasing of the wheels here, he lets him know that he made a replicant that is pretty much exactly like Rachel and brings her forward. And Harrison Ford is like, the fuck? And yeah, man, Rachel from the first movie.
Sean Young?
Sean Young.
So does it look like a young her or an older one?
It does.
Young?
It looks young.
Oh, wow.
So,
it's like CGI?
yeah. CGI.
Okay. All right.
And, God damn it, it looks weird.
Okay.
It's kind of like,
This is a big moment for him.
yeah, it is. But, the acting performed by the CGI computer is like,
Yeah.
it's a sad face the entire time. And it looks like, I could tell in the theater. I was like, okay, man, this is super close, but it's no cigar.
All right.
It is so close. Either way, Rachel winds up, she like touches his face and shit, and they have like a little fake reunion, but he's like, no. And he turns around and he walks away. He says to Wallace, he's like, that's good and all, but she had green eyes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So the assistant to Wallace, Love, pulls a gun from her pocket and blows fucking Rachel's brains out.
Ah, shit.
Yeah. Just like, oh, useless. We cut to a battered up, bandaged up Joe.
Okay.
And man, Joe looks like shit. He's walking across the walkway between two buildings, and there's an ad that's to the left of him that just activates, and I guess reacts to his presence.
Uh-huh.
And it is a giant pink woman with blue hair. And she starts talking to him, and she's like, oh, well, you look like a hardworking guy. Maybe an average Joe. You should have some fun. Come check this shit out. Blah, 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 blah. And then the ad goes back into the screen, and it's an ad for Joy, the AI. But it's not Joy.
Yeah.
Because Joy is advertised to be whatever you want her to be.
Right.
And he takes off his bandages. And he's like, fuck this shit. And grabs a hold of his gun. And he thinks about Joy talking to him. Memories of Joy. He's thinking about Joy. And man, there's no better situation for vengeance than this.
Mm-hmm.
Man, his fucking lady's gone. Digital or not. So, you get a big old sequence of and you know what?
Yeah.
It's fantastic. And he's getting ready to fucking have it out. So we cut, and it's in the night sky, and we see 3 floating cars rushing off into the darkness. One of those cars contains Love and Decker. And Decker's in handcuffs. He's like, where are we going? She's like, we're going home. So, fuck it, man. They're going off-world. Cut to the cockpit of Kay's car. And he's fucking chasing after.
Uh-huh.
And, man, he's got some weapons ready. Because the first thing he fucking does, then the first thing that you see, one of the cars gets hit by a fucking explosion and just drops out the fucking sky like a sack of potatoes. And they have no idea where it's coming from. And he's doing all kinds of shit, like flipping to the side and fucking watching them from his sunroof or whatever. He actually gets ahead of them, turns back around, and starts shooting a fucking cannon from his car at one of the other cars. Just, come. And that shit goes, if you know what I mean. And, man, there is one car left, and it's Decker's car. So, he flies up beside that shit, pulls his sidearm, and totally shoots one of the co-pilots right in the fucking face. Man, he's out for vengeance, and he's getting him some. Love is like, can we get the hell out of here? Can we get to fucking planet? And the other pilot, is like, probably no. Then get us out of here, turn us around, and get us back to base. He's like, okay, yes, ma'am. Gets shot in the face. The whole ship, the whole car, I guess, goes down as they were turning around. So they get back to Los Angeles, and Los Angeles is protected by a huge fucking wall. And on the outside of it is these killer waves. They're like hitting the walls and shit, coming up along the beach. But it's all like fabricated, so there's no sand. It's just concrete slope to a wall. The shit crashes down on the water, skids across, and basically just about gets it to the wall, but stops. So it's on the banks of Los Angeles. And you get a cut of Kay coming to a stop a little further up the bank and getting out of his car with a gun in his hand. Love, she goes to like grab a gun and get ready and fucking try to maybe move Deckard, get him to a safe zone so she can protect him. But as soon as she opens the door, shots are fucking being fired. Deckard is kind of stuck where he is. He's kind of in the line of fire. She's taking cover like behind him. So there ain't going to be no shooting at that area anytime soon. But, dude, Kay is coming out like a motherfucker. And he winds up going up to the door where the cockpit is. So everything is adjacent. So he actually has a clean shot at the bitch. And they both take a shot at each other and fucking blow each other to smithereens. Like they both go down, taking a shot. And dude, they both look like they're dead. And Deckard is fucked. Because the waves keep coming in and dragging the car towards the ocean. But, man, both of them get back up, And Love jumps out the car, and we got a fist fight between Kay and Love.
Damn.
But really, it's his fists against her kicks. She is a kicker through and through because she kicks the fucking shit out of him.
Yeah.
And it winds up being a knife fight on top of that because she's got knives. Pulls a couple of switchblades, tries to stab him in the face with one of them, pulls another one from her pocket, and jabs it like, dude, straight into his kidney or his spleen, like right on the side of him. Puts it in, and you totally get a very good shot of her twisting the blade and pulling it out, and just a big old jut of blood coming from him. And you're just like, oh, Ryan Gosling, don't do that. Keep standing, man. She grabs him by the face, gives him a big old smooch, pulls him away and goes, I was always the best. And drops him. Well, she's going back into the ocean where the car is being dragged out with Deckard in it. She's going to go save Deckard so that they can fucking interrogate him off planet.
Yeah.
And fucking tear him apart and whatever for information. She gets into the car and goes to grab his ass. And fucking Kay pops up out of the water, grabbing her by her neck, fucking choking her ass out on the ceiling.
Nice.
Holding her up. And she's losing her shit, trying to like grab for his wounds or whatever, and trying to hold him underwater because the cab is getting flooded with water as it goes out into the ocean.
Uh-huh.
So he jumps up and puts her ass down in the water, and he drowns her ass.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, man. Squeezes the fucking life out of her. And saves Deckard. And they both get onto the beach, whatnot, get to his car, and they take off. So there you go. The bad bitch is down.
Nice.
We cut, and it's snowing again. And we're back at the doctor's office. The memory doctor's office. Standing there, Deckard and Kay. Or Joe. Because he's Joe, man. He totally earned it. He's got his name. And Deckard's like, man, why the hell would you do this shit for me? You don't even know me. He's like, no, man. I did this because I need to fight for something. This doctor, she makes some of the best memories. So go in and see your daughter, man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
The hell?
Turns out the doctor, the memory doctor with the
immune?
The immune deficiency.
Yeah.
Stuck in a room for her whole life.
Yeah.
That's the kid, man.
How do we know that?
It's revealed in the movie.
All right.
So Deckard goes in, and we're left with a lingering shot of Kay, or Joe. And Joe, man, he's fucking beat up. He's beat up and battered, and he's fucked. He even got shot.
Yeah.
And stabbed. And at the steps, where it's snowing, takes a seat, and he opens up his coat. And man, his clothes are full of blood. So he leans on back on the stairs, rests his head, looks up at the sky and the snow, and he just lays there, breathing, until he's not. Yep. So Joe, he did right. He fucking died for something, for a purpose. Something worth dying for.
Yeah.
And that was his big fucking stand. Either way, we cut to Harrison Ford, and he's in the glass room. And the doctor is just finishing up working on a memory. She's like, oh, hold on. Okay. All right. I'm done. Hello. How are you? Well, what can I do for you? And Harrison Ford is just standing there at the glass, man. And he puts his hand up against the glass and fade to black. Roll credits.
All right.
So there you go.
Blade Runner 2049 on Movies with Ron. Movies with Rick. Good job, man.
Thank you very much. Look, man, this movie was long as shit. It was like 3+ hours.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, there was a nice balance to it. You watch it and you don't get, Jesus Christ, just end it. Folks at home, let us know. This shit too long or what?
Let's talk about it next week. For now, check us out on Twitter at Movies with Ron. We got a Facebook page. If you're on Apple Podcasts, leave us a rating and review. We'd love to hear from you. Any other podcast apps, hit subscribe, add us to your favorites. We got movieswithron.com. It's been fun.
Take care.
Movies